After 2.5 years of the Biden border crisis, here's what administration officials have told us. The Biden administration's policies have led to more national security threats. The Biden administration policies make it less likely that enforcement actions will be taken against criminal aliens. ICE officers have been reassigned from their duties, locating and arresting aliens, to simply processing illegal border crossers if they report to ICE, as they were ordered to when they were released at the border. ICE officers are attempting to arrest fewer aliens because of the Biden administration's enforcement priorities memo. According to the IG, we know that even aliens who illegally cross the border are on the terrorist watch list can be released into the United States, free to board an airplane and head to the U.S. city of their choice. We know that the record numbers of illegal aliens, terrorists, and fentanyl have crossed our southwest border during the 2.5 years of this administration. And we know that not only are communities on the southwest border overwhelmed, but so are cities 2,000 plus miles away from the border. With the current rate of removals and the current number of non-detained aliens who have been ordered removed from the United States at over 1.2 million, it would take 20 years for removal of those individuals. Criminal aliens who could have been removed under previous administrations are likely not subject to removal today under the Biden administration. And we know that Border Patrol does not specifically check the home country criminal history of aliens it encounters at the border. We know that the Biden administration's open border policies have led directly to the deaths of Noah Rodriguez and Kayla Hamilton, the violent assault of a teenage girl in Alabama, and the victimization of countless other American citizens. We know that this administration repeatedly violates the law under the guise of instituting safe, orderly, and humane policies. But nothing about the Biden administration's policy is safe, orderly, or humane. In fact, there have been more than 5.6 million illegal alien encounters across the southwest border since the start of the Biden administration. And that doesn't include over the 1.5 million gotaways. Millions of foreign nationals have indebted themselves to the smuggling cartels to get to this country. Millions of foreign nationals have subjected themselves to assault, robbery, or worse on the way to the border because they know that more likely than not, they will be allowed to stay in the United States once they get here. I know that today Secretary Mayorkas is going to try to paint a rosy picture of this disastrous mismanagement of our border, but the numbers don't lie. As of June, border encounters were down from record highs of 252,000 to 145,000. Only this administration and my Democrat colleagues would call it a success when monthly encounter numbers are near 150,000. In fact, from fiscal year 2014 to the beginning of the Biden administration, there were only 4 months with an apprehension number higher than 100,000. But under the Biden administration, there have now been 29 straight months, 29 months in a row with more than 100,000 illegal encounters on our borders. DHS was created in the wake of September 11th, 2001, to deal with after the terrorist attack. It was created to help ensure American safety. Admittedly, this is an enormous task, and it is one in which this secretary has completely failed. Instead of building off the previous administration's success, this administration has abandoned any semblance of border security and immigration enforcement. And Americans are paying the price, and they demand accountability. With that, I yield to the ranking member, the gentleman from New York, for an opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we are once again far afield from the work this committee should be doing. The Department of Homeland Security was born in the wake of the September 11th attacks and exists to protect our nation from new and emerging threats. That work is serious business. And in years past, under the leadership of chairmen of both parties, when we welcomed the Secretary of Homeland Security into this hearing room, we took our responsibilities seriously. To be sure, some of the questions we posed in those past hearings were tough. Debate is often heated when we discuss important topics like immigration and the security of the nation. But our work on both sides of the aisle was grounded in a good faith effort to advance the mission of the department and to keep our country safe. How times have changed. A few weeks ago, desperate for votes on the debt ceiling deal, Speaker McCarthy promised the extreme MAGA wing of his party that they could pursue the impeachment of Secretary Mayorkas. As Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene put it, if she was going to vote for the debt ceiling bill, she wanted some, quote, dessert. As she so eloquently put it, everyone loves dessert, and that's impeachment. Someone needs to be impeached. Like many of her colleagues, she seemed not to care who was impeached, so long as they could engage in the political exercise of impeaching somebody in the Biden administration. She singled out Secretary Mayorkas as, quote, the lowest hanging fruit. And unfortunately, as we have already heard from the chairman, today's hearing will not be about legitimate congressional oversight or finding out the facts. Instead, the chairman and his colleagues in the majority will use today's hearing as a predicate for a completely baseless attempt to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. They will do so at the behest of the most extreme MAGA Republicans. It will be one more exercise in political theater for the right-wing outrage machine before the August break. And sadly, the outrage will be entirely evidence-free. Don't just take my word for it. In October 2022, before the Republicans took the majority and before any investigation had started, Chairman Jordan said that Secretary Mayorkas deserves impeachment. More recently, he said, quote, it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That's right. Who needs high crimes and misdemeanors? Chairman Jordan thinks the DHS Secretary should be impeached because he, quote, deserves it. To be clear, Republicans have not established any legitimate grounds to impeach Secretary Mayorkas. They have not uncovered evidence of wrongdoing or malfeasance of any kind. They have policy disagreements with the Secretary, and so do we. But policy disagreements and personal grudges are not a basis for impeachment. Throughout this hearing, you will hear more of the same bogus claims that we've been hearing for the past 6 months. Some of it dangerous, some of it petty, none of it true. First, Republicans will say that as a result of a, quote, invasion of migrants at our southern border, we no longer have a country. Second, they will say that Secretary Mayorkas opened our borders deliberately and is willfully violating our immigration laws. Third, they will say that all migrants are suspect because they are smuggling drugs, especially fentanyl, across our southern border. And fourth, they will say without evidence that Secretary Mayorkas lied to Congress. Not one of these claims is true. Let's address each one in turn. The invasion narrative some members push in this hearing room is bigoted, fact-free, and dangerous. Next month, we will commemorate the 4th anniversary of the El Paso shooting. In 2019, a domestic terrorist walked into a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, and murdered 23 people and injured 22 others. He posted a hateful and racist manifesto online prior to the attack, espousing white nationalist theories like the Great Replacement theory and claiming that there was a, quote, Hispanic invasion. He told investigators that he was targeting Mexicans. We can draw a straight line from the hateful rhetoric we hear from some congressional Republicans to that horrific tragedy. Our words matter. I implore my colleagues to be careful about how we discuss these issues today. And I hope we can stick to the actual facts. Opened our borders? The reality is that Secretary Mayorkas is aggressively enforcing our immigration laws. The administration has issued a new asylum regulation that just yesterday a court determined was too restrictive. The administration has also opened additional legal pathways for migrants to come via refugee processing on a case-by-case parole determination. No matter what you think of these policies, they appear to be working. As of now, border numbers are at their lowest point since February 2021, with border apprehension numbers down 70% from where they were just 10 weeks ago. Further, the Biden administration has deported or expelled over 2.5 million people in the last 2 years. This is nearly as many people as President Obama deported in his entire 8 years in office. These are not the policies of an open border or an administration not executing our laws. They are the opposite. As we have discussed, drugs are, in fact, coming into this country. However, as every expert seems to agree, they are coming largely through ports of entry. And according to CBP's own data, they are being brought in overwhelmingly by U.S. citizens. And lastly, no, the Secretary did not lie to Congress. Nobody believes that Secretary Mayorkas knowingly and willfully misled Congress during last year's testimony, and any assertion to the Congress is flat out false. Thank you for being here today, Secretary Mayorkas. I hope the good men and women of the department will not be disheartened by what they hear today. I have confidence that they will not let these baseless attacks deter them from their commitment to the work that is so essential to the safety of our nation. And with that, I thank the chairman and I yield back.